Good day, folks. Coach Johnson here. This video is kind of an impromptu, unscheduled visit to the channel or the platform with whichever one you're viewing this on. And it's about how apparently my coaching philosophy is not just toxic, it makes me an extremist. I'm going to get into this. There's three elements that I really think are kind of the cornerstones of my coaching philosophy and really my life philosophy, but are often seen as extreme viewpoints. And those three viewpoints are meritocracy, personal accountability, and individual judgment. Let's get in this really quick. So let me give you an example. I think I'll tell a story. So let's go story time. Imagine I'm a league coach and there's several sports teams underneath my direction. My job is to improve to provide the best quality sports training for all these leagues so that they can compete, win a title, a belt, a cup, or trophy, or whatever it is they're going to get for their finals. And as we go through this season, I noticed that there is one team that is doing very, very well, slightly better than average, and there's another team that's doing a little bit under average. They're underperforming a bit. They're not getting the scores. So as the league coach, which means I am in charge of all the team coaches, I have to make a decision. And there's kind of two philosophies that I could do. I can continue to do my best to coach all the teams so that they all improve, which is, what I would do. And I might, try to find a way to help out the coach of the lesser performing team, or I could handicap and make it harder for the other teams to score, so the other team, the lesser team, can catch up. Now, my belief is that it would be better served to make let's say there's 10 teams in the league, the number 10 team. I believe it would be better to work with them on their coaching staff to bring them up to speed so they can get to be more competitive with the other teams. That's my philosophy. I believe in meritocracy. Meritocracy, if you didn't understand the definition, is that your benefits, your position is based upon your performance. So if you do well, you move ahead. If you don't do as well, you don't move as far ahead. And so for me, I would rather build up the lesser performing teams than I would handicap the higher performing teams. And that's apparently an extreme and toxic philosophy. That's one problem. The next challenge that I come across in coaching is I believe in personal accountability. And that means, regardless of the team, is that if you are doing well, then you should be acknowledged and recognized for it. If you're not doing well, then you have to be, there's a penalty goes with that. Now, the penalty might be a society-imposed one. Maybe, you just don't get the raise you want, or you don't get the girl, you don't get the guy, or, you just don't reap the same benefits and rewards as someone who's doing better. And the person about accountability comes in and it's like, all right, well, I'm not getting the results I want, so what can I do to change the outcome? And that's really the question that needs to be asked if you want to be personally accountable for what exactly is happening. The other option is to point the finger, look for blame, find every reason in the world that it doesn't work. And I'll tell you another story. It's story time with Coach Jay today on this fine Sunday. My first business mentor, the first mentor I ever had that really taught me life, I would say. It was a very big, oftentimes we'd be having a conversation in the office and he would, I'd find myself complaining about something. And oftentimes he'd look at me and go, Mr. Johnson, you need to take more personal accountability. And what he was getting at was that even if the situation was unfair, because guys, it's not always fair. Sometimes bad shit happens to you through no fault of your own. A meteor comes out of the sky, somebody doesn't like you for whatever reason, the government conspires to, cause a problem, a storm comes in and, blows a tree into your house, whatever. So oftentimes the negative things in your life are really not your fault, but it is your responsibility to handle them the best that you can and be accountable for your personal actions, your personal input. And I will tell you, my business mentor was a guy who came from really, really, really difficult circumstances and had lots of reasons where he could have at any time tapped out and said, well, this is hard because of this, and it's not my fault, and life is unfair, and he did not do that. And as I got older, I started really understanding the significance of this. So when he told me to take more personal accountability for it, I really started taking it to heart. And I just thought he was just busting my chops and being kind of getting on my ass about stuff. But I really look back now, and most of the time he was 100% right. I'd be complaining about something, and it might have even been a raw deal. It might have been completely unfair, but it's still my responsibility to take actions to improve that situation. It was my job, my responsibility. So that's something I found to be very important, even when things are grossly unfair, because sometimes they will be. Okay, and the third philosophy that I have, that I've always really had this, is that I believe in the acknowledgement of the individual. That a person is Sally or Jesse or Lee or whatever. That is the person, and their actions and their lifestyle and their behavior and their personality is them. What's very fashionable nowadays is collectivism and identity politics. So the person's ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, identity, that becomes the most important way to determine whether this person is acceptable or not. And I've never had this, and even growing up in areas where it was people weren't always the most tolerant. I've never had an issue with seeing somebody as anything other than the individual person that they are. I don't know why, but that follows me today. So if somebody is basically willing to put the effort in to be accountable for their actions and be willing to be recognized for who they are, not for what group they identify with, in my view, that leads to success. And even as a coach, there's a lot of times where someone may have a huge advantage. I mean, seriously, imagine if I'm 5'9" on a good day. If I had grown up in life and my aspiration was to be an NBA player, that would be I'd have a huge disadvantage because of my height, not the other thing. But yeah, I don't really care for basketball, probably because I'm not very tall. So I would be very disadvantaged to compete in that element. And so, but if I really made it my life's passion, I could probably be competitive if it was my burning passion. So lots of people are disadvantaged in some way. I mean, I look at the athletic trainers, individuals I've worked with in my career, and I've had people who were uncoordinated, not particularly strong. They had questionable conditioning, and they were able to accomplish amazing skills, develop amazing skills, and accomplish amazing things because they took the accountability and said, look, I may not have all the attributes I want, but I'm going to build them. At the same time, I have had many athletes I've trained that had every possible natural advantage. They were tall, they were muscular, they were athletic, they had great fast twitch, fibers, they were coordinated. And if they didn't put the work in, they would be out hustled by those who did. So my thing is the individual. I guess it comes down to individualism, which is a very extremist philosophy nowadays. Apparently, it's toxic. To think that an individual is that individual's mindset and actions are the prime driver in whether that individual is going to succeed. That's kind of how it boils down. That is not a popular viewpoint in today's world. It's again, it's seen as extremism, individuality. Boy, meritocracy. Holy moly, can't use that. Personal accountability. Now you're talking some toxicity. So anyway, that's my take, guys. So I mean, if that resonates with you, then that's how I see things. We'll get along great. If you think that the individual merits of a person are not the driving force of their success, then we're going to have disagreements on that. That's fine. You can have your opinion. I have mine. I've just seen so many examples of people who have every disadvantage with the right mindset just come out ahead. And it comes from coaching. Humans don't inherently know how to get through life. We are, naked apes with very little instinctual ability. So I find that if somebody is not performing at their peak, it's not generally because they're a bad person it's because they haven't had the mentorship or the coaching to help them get the most out of their life. I was well into my, adultness, if you want to use that term, before I got really good mentors. I just didn't have. Now, I always knew I wanted to succeed, but I was definitely a finger pointer. The personal accountability talks my coach used to give to me were really justified. I made a lot of excuses, why this couldn't be done, why that couldn't be done, and that just was kind of like exercised out of me through not only his mentorship, but just seeing how people could get through things with just the will, the mindset, like, hey, I'm going to make this happen. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's unfair. Yeah, somebody else has it easier than me, but they just got it done. So it's my belief that good coaching, good mentorship solves most of these issues. And my belief, as I just outlined, is that mentorship should consist of helping the individual maximize his or her life. Get the mindset right. Focus on the things that you can control. Focus on the good things that are coming into your sphere of influence. Because it's easy to find the bad things. That's very easy. Heck, there's people who make entire careers out of pointing out bad things. There's whole movements and cultures that focus on looking hard and digging deep to find bad things. But I think with right mentorship and coaching, I believe there's really no doubt that almost anybody on this planet can be successful. Maybe not the most successful person in that realm, but immensely successful. Well, that's Coach Jay out. So we have a line in our student oath for our kids class that says, part of it is, I will help the weak become strong. It's not, I will help the stronger get pulled back down to the weaker level. And if somebody's not performing, it's generally because their mentorship and leadership is letting them down. Think about it, guys. I don't know. If you're not in athletics, if you're not into training, maybe you've never seen the ugly duckling, so to speak. The kid that comes in, he has two left feet, and he trips over himself, and he can't do a push-up. I've seen those kids turn themselves around and become incredible performers, because someone believed in them or her, and someone said, "Look, man, you may not be fair. Maybe you were given a raw deal. Maybe you were foster or whatever, but with coaching and mentorship, you can get this done by treating them as an individual and looking at what they bring to the table, not what people like them bring to the table." Okay? In my mind, the tribe that I belong to is the tribe of humanity, and humanity is basically a tribe of 7.5 billion different people that have way, way more in common than they have as differences. That's my philosophy. If that makes me an extremist, so be it. All right, Coach Jay out. Have a great day, guys.